Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Tales from the Lockbox. I'm your host, Josh Benoliel, VP of Sales here at Property.ca and Condos.ca and Mr. Loft.ca, if you didn't know. And today we have an amazing guest joining us. It's Mr. Dan Wood. How you doing, Dan?
Good.
Thank you for joining us today, all the way out from Vancouver.
I matched the gray on gray.
Oh, you fit the attire. Our design marketing team doesn't like when I wear the light color suits in clothing because it kind of blends into the
Oh yeah, it would.
But it's all good. So Dan, from what I understand, from what we know, and we talked a little bit before, is you're a public speaker and real estate coach, I believe, since 2010.
Yep.
So, you're going on to your bar mitzvah year of coaching and public speaking. And you also are the founder of a company called Brokerage Nation, which I believe has about 200 brokerages and over 8,000 real estate agents in working with you guys on coaching and training.
Yep.
So Dan is a real estate coach, guys.
Yep.
And a really unique angle that we're going to be able to talk about today, to really talk about that. I know it's something that our listeners always ask, should I be getting a coach? Do I need a coach? How do I find a coach? So it's really perfect timing. Myself, I've personally gone through a couple of different coaches over the years.
Yeah.
It's something that changes. I think there's coach fatigue, I find sometimes.
Yeah, you got to go through, it's an evolution. You kind of need to change it up once in a while.
Yeah.
You got to learn new skills, yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dan? I'll pass over the mic to you.
Sure, yeah. Real estate agent, started in 2007
Okay.
in Oshawa.
Okay.
And then did a team right away. And then from that started speaking around 2009. And then, and I only did the speaking to get referrals.
Okay.
Because I just did a whole tour across Ontario. And it was a great referral source as an agent. But then every time I would talk, people in the room would say, hey, that's great, but can you do it for me? Or can you help me out? So then coaching became a thing.
Yeah.
And then around 2012, I decided I was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I went all in, and I've been full-time coaching ever since.
Wow. And when you started into that public speaking, how did that kind of shape itself up?
Yeah, well, I did it for the referrals. So
how does somebody just become a public speaker?
I would never raise my hand in school, so I did not think that was going to be my journey. But anyways, the technology was very weak in the real estate space. Like when I got my training at the brokerage at the time, they legitimately were cutting photos out of a piece of paper and glue sticking it to another one, and that was the training.
Okay.
I'm like, this is not training. Let me show you.
Right.
Let me show you copy and paste. What is going on here? So, and then even with Google Maps, I was putting together a Google map of all the showings we were doing, and others were still using the map book, and I'm like, guys, this is bizarro. So, I mean,
it's not 1987.
From day one, my very first day at the brokerage, I realized I was kind of ahead with technology.
Okay.
And so I just started doing training at the office to share what I knew, and because it just felt good to help others. And then when I saw the opportunity to do it at other brokerages and get referrals, I went all in on that. I did hundreds of talks in a year. I just went all in on that. And I love it. So before I got into real estate, my parents were questioning why I would go to school for real estate, because they put me through another school for marketing, which is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you were going to get into real estate, we would have just paid for that.
Yeah.
Right up.
We could have saved a whole lot of money.
Yeah, we could have saved a whole lot. And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter, because the marketing I could do at any industry.
Any field.
Right. So real estate is just the benefit that it is a commission-based game. It's a relationship game, and it's fun. So when I look at what I do with the coaching, it's very similar. And around 2018, I bought a tour bus, and we moved to a new city every month. So I just chased the weather.
Wow.
So I don't live in Oshawa anymore. I'm in Vancouver now. But we used to move every month. If we really liked the spot, we'd be 2 months, 3 months.
Okay.
And then,
You were living on the tour bus?
Still am.
Wow.
I since 2018.
Wow. So you're a bit of a rock star.
It's got the sort of.
That's cool.
Yeah, my cat thinks I'm a rock star, anyways.
That's awesome. Wow. So it's all branded Dan Wood on the side and stuff? Or?
No, because the U.S. border is really weird with me going across in the States, because they don't understand how you can be so young and living that style.
Okay.
And so I've had them really take me in the back room and go through my accounts and everything.
Wow.
So if I had a branded bus, that would be in a whole another
Big
can
red
of work.
flag.
Yeah, so no branded bus.
Awesome. Well, that's a great little interlude into who you are, and you want to tell us a little bit about Brokerage Nation and what that is and how that works?
Yeah, that was so the coaching I started doing was great, and then one year I went to NAR and I sold a DVD that didn't exist. I just sold the concept of it,
Okay.
and it worked out really well. I made more money in 4 days because it's a couple-day conference. And so that was great, except the problem was it was transactional. People would pay for the DVD, but it was like a one-off transaction. So then once I had that DVD, I took it and I rebranded it for each brokerage. So every brokerage would basically buy the rights to the DVD, but it was rebranded, and it was easy for me to rebrand it. So then I sold it to a couple hundred brokerages. And Brokerage Nation just became that, where I started helping brokerages with training their agents, doing Zoom trainings a long time ago before Zoom was like popular by everybody. And that Brokerage Nation is that, where I help brokerages with their agent training and systems and tools.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's really great that we have you here today. And
Yeah, I'm excited.
We got a series of agents that will be here this afternoon to hear you talk a little bit more in person, one-on-one.
Cool.
So let's, one of the things we like to talk about here, and I'm sure you have your own way of talking about it. It's really, I want to hear your angle of it. And we talk about this every week is, how do you stay motivated? What kind of mindset do you put yourself in? Like, do you have a certain routine that gets you into there? Talking in front of a lot of people and doing what you do and giving your energy to people, it's not something that comes easy. It might come naturally, like for me, maybe for you, probably, I'm assuming, but it also takes some energy from you when you give so much out, right?
Ebbs and flows, life. We all have different ups and downs with where we are in the season of the real estate market can make an impact on people. Like COVID could really have deflated many of us. So yeah, it changes every quarter. I like to do a reset.
Yeah, and what does that reset kind of look like for you?
I'll write out a journal of my positives and negatives of the things that I think are, like, a negative could be maybe you're sleeping in, or a negative could be you used to be big on exercise, but you've slowly started to dwindle off that. So I just kind of identify my strengths and weaknesses, and it's very a humbling experience because you got to be true with yourself when you do that. And I'll try and replace a negative with a positive. So I'll write them all out, and then I'll do a little game where I actually track it every day on a piece of paper, like a little journal. The miracle.
Every day you're checking back in with that list.
Oh, so when I was working for another company before I got into real estate, I installed all the Sobeys stores, Foodland, Price Chopper, IGA. So I lived on the road installing stores, and we weren't self-employed. We were employed by an employer, but we were independent because we were there on the job site on our own. We didn't have a boss hanging out to make sure that we did the work. So anyways, we all each had a clipboard, and we had to journal within that clipboard everything we were doing so that they could price the jobs.
Okay.
But really it was to keep us accountable.
Right.
And I found it so funny that once you got your real estate license or become independent, you're really not that accountable anymore. It's a lot easier.
There's no one but you.
It's a lot easier to sleep in. It's a lot easier to not do the things that are boring, because the database stuff, working your database, kind of boring, dry, not exciting, and it's easy to push it aside and try and look for sexier, I want to do Facebook ads or whatever. But sticking true with the stuff that makes the money is the difference maker, and doing what you got to do when nobody's looking.
Yeah,
is the big one. So I do this thing where I track every day, and I try and hit a 30-day streak of whatever my new reset is.
Okay.
And I make a game of it.
Nice.
And it changes every 6 months or whatever. It goes up and down. Yeah, I've had a lot of ups, but when COVID hit, I did get deflated. Because I didn't feel right. Because I was living in LA when COVID hit, and everybody's in Ontario locked down. They couldn't get a haircut. They couldn't go to the mall. And I was living normal. Yeah. So I stopped posting on social media because I felt bad. I don't want to. I didn't promote any more products or services. I totally put the foot off the gas pedal, and that was the first time I ever took my foot off the gas pedal in years.
Wow.
And it felt good for the first couple months. This is a cool little vacation. I dig it.
Yeah.
But then fast forward a year into it, and it's man, this vacation sucks. I got to get back to being busy and having purpose. So yeah, it's just being aware of your ups and downs, and Because we all know the things that are holding us back. Like maybe it's that you're not working your leads. Maybe it's that you're starting smoke. Maybe you started smoking or drinking more since COVID, possible. Weed became legal in Canada.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, there's all these things that are new circumstances that like change your behavior. And it's okay to identify those things and take a step back and just be like, okay, I'm going to reset it.
Yeah, for sure. So that's so to sum that up, every quarter or whatever, like let's just use a quarter, you're looking at your good positive and negatives, and then you're identifying one negative that you want to remove and replacing it with a positive, and then you're keeping yourself accountable daily to essentially you're creating a new habit.
Exactly. And so my real goal is to hit it 3 months straight.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
That's the target for that new
Because
habit.
the first month, you're all, say it's exercise, that's a common one. So say you're like, oh, I'm going to get into exercise, I'm going to start running every morning. And you do it the first week, well, what happens is the weekend rolls around.
Yeah.
And then that weekend is a reset.
Drinks, and you're just like, I'm not going to do it anymore.
And then maybe you get past that first weekend, and you end up doing 2 weeks of your new habit. Well, there's always a holiday, there's always a vacation,
or a
there's always something.
something.
Literally every month is like there's one hiccup.
Yeah.
Already pre-planned for all of us every month.
The world has put a roadblock in front of you, and how you navigate that roadblock is going to hit it or miss it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like a big negative for me personally, not others, but drinking. So like, it wasn't a problem. I'm comfortable bringing it up. But like when I travel and speak, like I'm doing 5 cities in 5 days this week.
Wow.
So I'm at 5 different brokerages and 5 different groups of people, and some of them are larger events, and it's like an all-inclusive party.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that all the time.
Yeah.
And so I rolled with it for a couple of years where I'm like, oh, this is such an awesome lifestyle. But then I looked in the mirror one day, I'm like, it's catching up.
Yeah.
It's not fun it's too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right?
Too much of anything is...
Too much of anything, yeah. So anyways, I did like, what was it, 10 years of no drinking.
Wow.
But it was hard because I'm flying to all-inclusive resorts
and
that are everything's
drinking.
yeah. So there's a lot of power in the word no.
Yeah.
Regardless of what like the other people around you are saying.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it stands out too. I mean, I've been down that road where I'm not drinking and other people are, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
And people take it weird,
They do.
People are like, why aren't you drinking? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why aren't you eating bread? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't ask me why I don't eat bread, you know what I mean? But drinking is that thing. So cool. And, that's interesting. And I'll just touch on it. One of the habits that, just so you know, that agents that work with us around here, it's prospecting. Obviously, you talked about it, working your database, being being a digital brokerage and having inbound online leads. It's something that our agents need to work on daily, working on those, continuously making those phone calls. And a lot of the time, agents will see success and they'll do that. And then all of a sudden, they'll get busy with showings and stuff. And then they'll just drop off. It's a very standard practice we've seen where you'll work your database. You'll be down. We'll get you working, calling leads. You'll start to get busy. You'll stop calling leads. You'll have some success. You'll hit a milestone, and then you'll just drop right back down because you're not continuing to build that pipeline.
Yeah. So I found that 3 a day is the minimum standard. You have to call 3 people a day. Just do it as the first thing before you start your day, because once your day starts, many fires happen. A lot of agents cause the fires that they're then putting out, and they're keeping themselves busy. And so anyways, you got to do 3 a day, 3 a day, 3 a day, 3 a day. The reason I say 3 is because if you call a person, 10-minute, 15-minute conversation, if you actually get them on the phone. So if that's 3 people, that's like 30, 45 minutes of time right there. It's like mission impossible to get anybody to commit to an hour a day on anything. So 3 a day is like, you can get it done in an hour. Minimum standard. There's a practice I like to do is on Facebook. You got if you use the Facebook app, open it up. I'm talking to the agents on the podcast. Hit search, and in the search bar, type the word birthday. It pops up all of your friends' birthdays today.
Yeah.
And so one of the challenges is I don't have their phone number, I don't have their address, I don't know their birthday. That's what their database looks like. Well, on Facebook, it shows you today's their birthday, and when you can call them directly through Facebook Messenger. So I do birthday messages where I just call the people. Like, not everybody. Say today I got 8 birthdays. I'll call maybe 5 of the people directly through Messenger. They don't answer the phone because it's 2023 and people don't answer. So then I hang up and leave a voice message.
Yeah.
And it's like, when they hear the voice message, it's I'm their friend in the business.
Totally.
And it's not me saying, hey, don't forget I'm your coach.
Yeah.
It's nothing about that. It's just me
Just saying hi, checking in.
reminding them I'm alive.
It's so funny you say that. When I was starting out in real estate, that habit was one of the most common things I did every single day. I was like exactly that. I was pulling up the birthdays and going. I wasn't leaving voicemails, but I was making sure that anyone whose birthday was, and we do that still. Like even with our past clients, we have systems and processes where it's when their birthday, we follow up with them. But that's cool stuff. So let's get into some interesting stuff here that I thought would paint a nice picture for all our viewers and agents listening. So first question, kind of like, what is the importance of having a real estate coach? Like, how does that, why should anyone who wants to be a successful real estate agent kind of have that? And I phrase it that way because I think I believe that. I think if you're going to be, like you said, it's hard to be accountable. So I think that's an important thing. But why don't you tell us, why do you think that's true or not true?
It shortens your learning curve.
Yeah.
Because everybody works a little bit different and they have blind spots and you don't know your own blind spot. So a coach of any kind, doesn't matter whether it's real estate or whatever, say I was exercising and I'm exercising with the wrong form and I feel like it's right because it's new to me and I'm seeing a little bit of result. But if there was an actual fitness trainer there, they'd be like, your range of motion is totally wrong. You got to be doing it this way. It would make a major impact on the end result. And so it's just a matter of shortening the learning curve and getting the right system set up.
Amazing. That's one of the main things we talk about here on a daily basis with everybody is systems and processes.
Yep.
Being successful comes down to that. If you got that working right, then you can take it to the next level.
Yeah, this game, this business that we're in, it's fun. It's like a sandbox, and you get to play every day. It's one of the beauties of being in real estate. Is like I heard prospecting, I heard farming. We've already talked about those 2 things today. But then there's like, what about events? What about online leads? There's so many different avenues that a realtor can be successful that it's almost too fun.
Yeah.
Because there's so much possibility of the ways that we can roll.
Yeah, especially if you can keep yourself like open and not look at that as like a overwhelming kind of situation and look at that as an opportunity. Then if you're glass half full, then you love it. If you're glass half empty, then sometimes it could create a little bit of stress for people, for sure.
Oh man, hopefully everybody's glass is half
in
full.
In this brokerage, I can tell you that 99.9% of the people here are glass half full kind of vibe. That's why we do so well. So here, what should realtors be looking for when taking on a coach?
Knowledge in the niche that they're going after.
Yeah.
Because some coaches are very strong with, like, Buffini would be like Popeye type of like relationship marketing, whereas maybe other coaches would be more prospecting based, calling FSBOs, calling expireds. So I would say identify with what your strengths are, and more importantly, what brings you joy. So if you really do like the idea of like door knocking and being face to face, then you should find a coach that helps you in that area, because if you have fun, like I had so much fun calling internet leads. That's how I started, was
Really?
internet leads. Yeah. I loved it. It was such a good game. When I started doing speaking, I would go to brokerages and put my phone on speaker and just call internet leads.
Well, you're going to have a fun time here today in this company.
Yeah.
Sitting here today.
Yeah.
We can get you on the phone right after this if you want.
I got some good scripts, for sure. So I had a ton of fun with it. And so I would really lean into that. But other people would absolutely like crawl and hate the idea of picking up the phone. So you gotta pick what brings you joy, because if you don't like the idea of picking up a phone, then you got to figure out, you got to be doing more open houses, like whatever, I don't know.
There's something else that you need to replace that lack with.
Something that gets you excited in the morning, because you're your own boss, and if you're not pushing the program forward, then like the coach gives you the tools, but you still got to swing the hammer.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you're not going to swing the hammer, you got to find another like tool to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think you said a good point there. It's finding what makes you happy in a day. It gets overwhelming, especially when you're dealing with so many things. If you're a high performing agent, it can bog you down, and you lose a deal here, and then all of a sudden you're down in the dumps. And making sure that you're continuously staying focused on what makes you happy and doing that a lot of the time. And it's hard for some people to find, but I'm sure a coach can definitely fast forward that. In my experience, definitely has.
Yeah, they're supposed to narrow it down, narrow the focus.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I read a little bit about, some of the areas of specialty that you dive into. I couldn't get into all. We can't get into all of them, but one of the ones that, and I think it's a very important topic right now, especially with the conditions of the market. You talk about listing presentations a little bit. So can you give our listeners a sneak peek of what they should be doing, maybe to like win more listing presentations? Like, what's kind of like your not giving all your secrets away, because you only have to talk about it for a second, but what's your key tip?
So I would recreate your presentation, whatever your listing presentation happens to be, and break it down into different formats. I would have like a PowerPoint, PDF, screen type of presentation, but then I would also have one that's printed.
Yeah.
And then I would go through my whole database from top to bottom, calling them, and like I would call them up and say, hey, Joey, Danny Wood here over at ABC Realty. I really respect your opinion. I was just curious, can I like swing by and give you something? I just want you to review it and like give me your feedback. And I would call people, not everybody in the database, but I used it as a way to say, look, I'm about to release this. I want your opinion on it. And I would show them my listing presentation. Not because I'm pitching them to list their home, but to give them, and it shows them the marketing we do, all the stuff that we do.
Yeah, you're getting yourself top of mind in real time with something tangible in their hand, and they go to work that day, and they're, the guy sitting next to them is like, yeah, I'm getting divorced and I need to sell my house, and it's like, well, check out Dan's listing presentation.
So I would role play my listing presentation through like maybe a couple people a week.
Interesting.
Every week.
It in the market,
and I was testing it before I did the real listing presentations at the real table. But because I did the fake listing presentation with the people who planted the seed, they already see the marketing that we do.
Yeah, they know you. They know who you are.
Yeah.
It's like long-term listing presentation.
Yeah. That's what I was going for.
It could be years out.
Exactly.
You're planting seeds for a tree to grow fruit.
Yep. And then I would have a leave behind.
See? We knew to bring this guy today. That's a good one, guys. That's a big deal there. We'll talk about that later on a little bit more. Another one I saw was the referrals. So what are some ways our listeners can get more referrals?
I said the very base is everybody in my database I want to get set up on a prospect match. So I call up Laura, my sister, and I'm like, hey, Laura, it's Danny, or my sister, I don't have to say it's Danny Wood. Anyways, I'm like, hey, Laura, what's up? I'm going to set you up on a prospect match. I'm not expecting you to be buying a home or selling a home, but what that means is any activity directly in your neighborhood, you're going to see the homes as they get listed. So one, it's information. You're going to see the prices and what homes are going for. You're also going to see the pictures of home renovations to property similar to yours, and the staging ideas to properly similar to yours. And it's absolutely free. Would it be okay if I included you on that? And most of the people say yeah. So then I set them up as if she was a buyer.
Yeah.
Only not all of Toronto, just that one. If it's a building,
pocket.
it's that one. Yeah, just that pocket. And I set up as many people on that as possible, because once I do, then it's an automated drip. It's real estate related. It's relevant to her, and it's an easy phone call for me.
Top of mind.
So that would be like if I was to say day one, you want more referrals.
Yeah.
Look at your database and get everybody set up on a prospect match.
Yeah, and it's similar to something that, like a similar concept that we use and we've been using with our agents for a long time, is that anyone you know what street they live on, set them up for alerts on that street, that prospect search for their street, so they're constantly staying up to mind with what's happening in that area. And time again, I can't tell you how many people have been like, I've been getting your alerts for my street for the past 3 years, now I'm ready to sell, but I know what my prices are in the area. So like it keeps you there. So it's definitely something that we do here frequently. I mean, not everybody, they should be if you're listening, but it makes the biggest difference, right, in the long term.
Yeah.
Cool. And what are, the top 3 things someone that coaching with your program can take away? Like, what would, if one of our agents were to join Brokerage Nation or however they sign up for one-on-one coaching, what can they expect to take away from, getting a good coach?
So my coaching is hybrid. It's a combination of coaching and us sharing a screen together. Because the problem I found with coaching was they love the ideas, yak, 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 hang up the phone, and they don't put it into play. And it was like infuriating for me to spend my time trying to encourage somebody to move forward, and they say, yeah, they love the ideas, but they don't push it. They don't press the button. So I realized people, they just get overwhelmed, especially with technology and setting up systems. So our coaching, when they're working with me, we actually set up your systems.
Okay.
So it's not just talking an idea on the phone, it's sharing a screen, and we play in the sandbox together.
Awesome.
So it's really unique. And then the other thing is that it's not meant to be long term, where it's like, oh, you need to be paying X number of dollars every month for a year. I actually become a prisoner to the desk if that was to happen. So my coaching, it's you pick and choose whatever time works with you, because my calendar changes. Like all of this week, I'm with you guys and others, so I don't have any coaching calls this week.
Wow.
But if I had it where it was the old coaching model, when a person, like say you signed up as a new client, you're like, okay, the first and second Tuesday of every month, I become a prisoner of that first and second Tuesday because of you.
Yeah, you're locked in.
And so
you have a job.
What I would do is I would then stack all my talks that same day.
Burnt out like hell.
Yeah, big
sure.
time.
So flexibility and adaptability for the person that's taking the
and
call.
Collaborative. So
Collaborative.
The coaching is coaching,
Hands
but it's
on.
actually here. Let's just do it.
You're not just telling people what to do. You're actually working through
with them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And our show's called Tales from the Lockbox. You're not a realtor, but you deal with a lot of real estate, and you were, and you deal with a lot of real estate agents. So kind of the concept behind the tale of a lockbox is, what's like one real estate story that's funny, scary, whatever it is that kind of sticks out to you. It could be from coaching, it could be from anything that you could share with us.
I was internet leads, and I'm terrible. What was the guy's name? Oh, I called him Ewan. So from day one, I call this guy and I'm like, hey, is Ewan there? And he's like, yep. And for weeks and maybe a month or two, I'm calling this guy Ewan every time I talk to him. Well, I found out really quick that I'm bad with paperwork. So my very first month in real estate, I had 11 ends close, but I didn't do it right. I come in on the first of the month, I'm like, boom, 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 and I had all the files on the counter, and they're like, what's this? I'm like, oh, it's all the deals that I've been working on. And they're like, why are you just handing it in now? I'm like, I don't know. Why am I? Nobody was helping me. I didn't know what I was doing.
You were busy cutting and pasting with glue sticks.
Yeah, so I realized real quick paperwork isn't my strength. And so I started doing agent-to-agent referrals where anyways, this was a referral, this Ewan guy. Okay. Anyways, his name's not Ewan, it's Ewan. And our buyer agent goes to show him, and she's like, Ewan! Yeah. And his name's not Ewan at all. It's Ewan. Yeah. Yeah, so
Did you guys still close the deal?
Oh, yeah, we became friends. He's a cool dude. So that one was a funny one. Prospecting, my very first, I was listening to Tom Ferry and I guess Matt Ferry, his brother, and they were doing mirroring and matching, and they were mimicking Indian accent, which, anyways, I did it. So I did it with an Asian accent. So my very first prospecting phone call was this Asian investor, and he says that his name is Wang Li, and that he wants me to sell 75 shitway. And I'm like, 75 shitway? And he's like, yeah, 75 shitway. And so I actually wrote down 75 shitway on the piece of paper. It wasn't shitway, it was shipway. Yeah. And his name wasn't Wang, it was Wayne. And he became one of my best clients. He was the first prospecting call that I did like
and
this.
You did it with an Indian accent.
I did it with an Asian accent. And he ended up giving me the keys to a spot in Muskoka. He had like 18 properties, and that was like the first call. And it was so funny to me that I was calling it 75 shitway. Like I wrote the word Wang on the piece of paper. Oh my God. It was Wayne.
That's so funny. Well, listen, guys, you can make a mistake on the opening, but it's how you bring it home in the closing to make it all come.
Yeah.
That's just a pure testament to it.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Again, guys, Dan Wood. He's a real estate coach, Brokerage Nation, and he'll be in the office this afternoon running some training with some of our agents here. If you're listening, you do want to come in, he'll be here this afternoon. Thank you guys so much. This is Tales from the Lockbox. Again, I'm your host, Josh Benoliel. Have a great day. Get out there. The sun is shining. Stay motivated. Stay hungry. Let's hustle. Let's close some deals. Have a good one. Ciao.